In 1887, an American farmer planted marigolds between his tomato rows and watched every aphid on his land disappear within 2 weeks. He told his neighbours. His neighbours told their neighbours. By 1900, half the county was doing it. By 1950, nobody was. Not because it stopped working, because something else started. That farmer's name never made it into any agricultural record. His method did, briefly, in a county extension bulletin printed in 1923. That bulletin was quietly removed from circulation after 1948. Not banned, not contested, simply removed. The shelf where it sat was restocked with something newer, something that came in a bottle, something you had to buy every single season. The method itself is older than the United States, older than Europe's agricultural records, older than almost any written document about farming that exists. It is called companion planting, and what it does to pests is not a folk tale. Right now, as the soil warms, the window for this system is exactly 3 weeks wide. Plant after this window, and the beneficial relationship between the plants never forms properly. The chemistry doesn't activate, the protection doesn't engage. 3 weeks. That is the margin. Here is what the method is. Certain plants, grown in deliberate proximity to each other, produce chemical compounds that repel, confuse, or kill the insects that would otherwise destroy a crop. Marigolds planted between tomato rows emit a sulfur compound through their roots. Aphids detect it and leave. Not some aphids, all of them. A single row of marigolds along the border of a vegetable bed creates a chemical perimeter that no aphid crosses. One marigold plant costs 50 cents. One season of pesticide treatments for a home garden costs $200 to $400. The marigold produces seeds. The seeds cost nothing next year, or the year after, or the year after that. The reason it worked, though, was not what anyone thought. The plants were not just growing next to each other, they were communicating. For most of agricultural history, farmers observed the results and assumed proximity was the mechanism. Put these plants together, get these outcomes. Simple. But the reason was buried in chemistry no one had the tools to detect yet. The mechanism begins underground. Certain plants, legumes in particular, fix atmospheric nitrogen directly into the soil through root bacteria. The plants beside them absorb that nitrogen without any fertilizer application. Above ground, volatile organic compounds travel through the air between plants. A tomato plant under aphid attack releases a specific compound. The basil planted beside it detects that compound and increases its own production of repellent oils in response. The plants are signaling each other. A distress call, a chemical answer. Below ground, root secretions from marigolds, specifically alpha-terthional, penetrate the soil in a 2-foot radius and kill nematodes. Not slow them, kill them. Tested, documented. Published in peer-reviewed agricultural journals as early as 1962. Every extension agent in America knows this works. They have known since 1962. Ask one. Ask what happens when you plant basil next to tomatoes. Watch how fast they change the subject. Stop. The knowledge did not disappear because it failed. It disappeared because it succeeded without requiring a purchase. Chinese farmers were using predatory insects in citrus orchards by AD 300. They identified which insects ate the insects that destroyed their harvest, cultivated them and deployed them deliberately. Not a pesticide. A system. Pyrethrum, a natural pesticide derived from chrysanthemum flowers, has been in documented use for over 2,000 years. It works against a broad spectrum of insects. It is still used today. The chemical industry synthesized a version of it, called it something new, and charged 40 times the price of the original plant. 3 billion kilograms of pesticides are applied worldwide every year. 1% reaches the target pest. 99% contaminates the soil, the water and the air surrounding the fields where it was applied. The farmer pays for it. The farm absorbs it. The aquifer beneath the farm absorbs what the farm cannot hold. The farmer buys it again next season because the pests come back. Because pesticides do not eliminate pest populations. They reduce them temporarily. Resistance builds. New sprays come to market. The cycle continues. An apple grower in Washington state sprays 15 to 25 times per growing season. A companion planting farmer in the same region sprays 0 times. These are not hypothetical numbers. These are documented in USDA trial data. Data that has been defunded, deprioritized and quietly buried every time it showed companion planting outperforming chemical inputs. The research program was cut in 1972, again in 1981, again in 1996. The three sisters knew none of this. They didn't need to. For 8,000 years before a single European ship crossed the Atlantic, corn, beans and squash were planted together across North America. The corn grew tall and provided the structure for the bean vines to climb. The beans fixed nitrogen directly into the soil, feeding the corn and the squash simultaneously. The squash spread wide across the ground, its large leaves blocking sunlight and preventing weed growth. 0 fertilizer, 0 pesticide, 0 spray. A closed system that fed entire civilizations for 80 centuries. European settlers arrived and adopted it, wrote about it, relied on it through the colonial period. Then synthetic fertilizer entered the market. Then synthetic pesticide. Then the extension services, funded increasingly by the same chemical companies selling the products, stopped teaching the old system. County agents stopped recommending it. Universities stopped researching it. Within 2 generations, the institutional knowledge was gone. Farmers who had never heard of the three sisters were buying 3 separate products to do what 3 plants had done for free. Companion planting appeared in British gardening manuals as early as 1654. The method was documented, tested informally by generations of gardeners and farmers who kept detailed records. When synthetic pesticides became commercially available after the Second World War, that documentation did not disappear. It was simply no longer distributed. Extension bulletins were updated. Older references were not reprinted. The farmers who knew the old system retired. Their children were taught the new one. But there was one combination that the USDA actively removed from extension bulletins after 1948. One pairing that, in every regional trial conducted before the funding was cut, outperformed every chemical spray on the market, not by a small margin, by a significant one. In 2 separate trials in the Midwest, plots using this specific pairing showed 93% pest reduction over a full growing season compared to untreated control plots. The chemical spray plots showed 61%. The pairing is nasturtiums and brassicas. Nasturtiums planted at the border of any cabbage, broccoli, kale or Brussels sprout bed act as a trap crop. Aphids, whiteflies and cabbage moths are attracted to the nasturtium first. They colonize it instead of the brassica. The nasturtium also produces a compound, glucosinolate, that repels the larvae of cabbage moths from the soil. The brassica benefits from both effects simultaneously. The pest load is drawn away, and the soil chemistry suppresses the next generation before it hatches. This is not new information. It was simply allowed to become old information. The kind of old that gets forgotten before it gets passed down. Right now, in the next 3 weeks, tomatoes can be planted with basil and benefit from it. Marigolds can be planted along the border of any vegetable bed and create a perimeter no aphid crosses. The three sisters, corn, beans, squash, can go into the ground together the way they went into the ground for 8,000 years. None of this costs more than seeds. None of it requires a subscription. None of it requires a purchase every season. The $84 billion global pesticide industry understands this, which is why you had to find this out from an archive, not from the county agent who showed up at your grandfather's farm in 1965 with a brochure and a spray sample. There is one crop this method was never tested on commercially. One crop where the companion planting trials were proposed 3 times and defunded 3 times before a single season of data was collected. One crop where the results, if the trial had ever been allowed to run, would have threatened a $12 billion annual market overnight. That crop has never been named in any public record. The researchers who proposed the trials are retired. 2 are dead. The proposal documents were last seen in a USDA regional office in 1979.